We've now reached chapter 6 of Berger's Heretical Imperative, and the first part of this chapter I've entitled Between Jerusalem and Benares, which is actually the title of the chapter. So the book itself came out in 1979. The subtitle of the chapter is The Coming Contestation of Religion, and we're going to just cover the first section here. The Dharma is going west. The anti-Hellenist Tertullian asked, "What is Athens to Jerusalem?" That is, what is reason to revelation? But contrary to Tertullian, Christianity has a long history of learning from Athens. For example, the daring prologue to the Gospel of John, in which the Greek idea of the Logos is identified with the Jewish Messiah, thereby marrying reason and revelation and universalizing West Asian religious particularism. Tertullian was not completely wrong. There have been tensions between Athens and Jerusalem in the Christian synthesis, but those tensions may be a necessary part of the distinctiveness of Western civilization. However, now we live in a new age of ecumenicity, which embraces the whole of humanity. Now the question is, what is Benares to Jerusalem? This is a fundamental question for the future of religion. Although man's religious quest seems to contain an almost endless array of different possibilities, it can actually be ordered in terms of a few types, especially the two comprehensive worldviews developed in West Asia and in India. This is a simplistic distinction, and there are complexities and shades, and neither form is normally found in its pure form. So there has been intermingling and interpenetration. But to understand this intermingling, we have to see what was being intermingled. In Western Asia, religious experience was characterized as the divine, as the personal God who speaks to man. This is a confrontation experience. God confronts humanity from outside in acts of address, as per Max Weber's emissary prophecy, through from Zoroaster to Israel to Jesus and Muhammad. This God is not within man or identified with the cosmos in any part of the natural world, as per the struggle between Yahwehism and the Canaanite nature cults in the Old Testament. Fertility gods and sacred sexuality were firmly denounced. It was hard to maintain this scissure between God and natural religiosity, as with the repeated calls of the prophets of Israel. Such a God is manifested as person, as will, as speech. Man becomes aware of himself in this confrontation, and there was a fundamental rupture between man and the cosmos. The cosmos is the arena for the actions of God and men. So this religious experience is both historicizing and moralizing the specifically Western combination of individual history and conscience, as per the vision of Isaiah. By contrast, the Indian religious experience is marked by interiority. We seek the divine within ourselves as the divine ground of our being and that of the cosmos. This divine is metapersonal and beyond all attributes, including will and speech. Both man and the cosmos are insignificant in relation to the divine. The wheel of reincarnation and the inexorable consequences of karma probably predate the Aryan invasion of India. The ancient Indian gestalt of the yogin sitting in the lotus position goes back to the Indus Valley civilization, silent, withdrawn from the world, passive, turned inward in his quest for ultimate reality. Historically, there have been contacts between these two worldviews. Were there Indian influences on the Greek mystery cults, which later influenced early Christianity? For example, Gnosticism, which was a serious rival to Christianity for several centuries, was a mixture of Hindu themes with Iranian dualism, Iran always being the bridge between the two poles. The development of Muslim mysticism, especially in Iran. But the modern situation brings about a new context for contact and contestation. The imperialistic push of Western Christian civilization into Asia was political and economic, but had religious implications. There were Christian missionaries, but also the fundamental forces of modernization. Even secularized modernity has its roots in Western Christian civilization, with Western notions of the individual, history, and social ethics. Thus, Gandhi, Japan, and China's modernization were all a consequence of this contestation. China's under Marxism, itself a secularized version of Christian eschatology. Even in the era of Western imperialism, the relationship was not unidirectional. From the 18th century onwards, Asian mentalities, including religion, began to impact some Western thinkers, including Goethe, Schopenhauer, and Emerson. In the post-colonial second half of the 20th century, there's a powerful upsurge of the Third World in the West, including culture. Thus, Hindu and Buddhist missionaries now come west, especially to the United States. And since the 1960s, there has been an eruption of Asian religiosity in the United States. Some a mere fad and fashion in the age of Aquarius, so-called, but also a small number of genuine converts, and a larger number who have adopted Eastern meditation practices. More diffusely, there is a heightened awareness of Asian visions of reality in some parts of American society, including the ecology movement and the interest in Asian religions at university. It's unlikely that there will be a great turning to Asian religions in the West, comparable to the expansion of Buddhism into East Asia, but it is their sheer presence in the West, rather than their actual numbers, which is significant. That presence is solid and will have to be dealt with intellectually. Note how few Christian theologians take any interest in non-Western religions. Whether Protestant or Catholic, liberal or conservative, most act as if the Judeo-Christian tradition was the only one in the world. There are exceptions, of course: the Vatican Secretariat for the Non-Christian Religions, the World Council of Churches dialogue with representatives of Asian religions, Harvey Cox and Robert Bellah on Asian religions in the United States, Raymond Panikar and John Hicks reformulations of some aspects of Christian doctrine in an Indian context. More is needed, however. What is needed is a genuine contestation, this is Berger's term, between religions. This isn't detached scholarship about other religions or a mutual explanation to increase understanding and tolerance, though both of these are praiseworthy, nor is it a mission Wissenschaft, the happily now declining learning about another tradition in order to evangelize its adherents more effectively. Rather, contestation is an open-minded encounter with other religious possibilities on the level of their truth claims, including the willingness to change one's view of reality as a result. We do not know what the result of this contestation between Jerusalem and Benares will be. There have been attempts at synthesis in the past, but they have been pale, abstract conceptions, mere intellectual artifacts, which reduce the living religious experience to the least common denominator. There may be agreement on some issues, which might modify existing understandings. That's all I'm going to say for the moment. Many thanks to you for listening, and particular thanks to my patrons for their support and encouragement. If you want to support my channel, you're very welcome to do so. Like, comment, and share the videos. Subscribe if you want to be notified of future videos, and I'll give Patreon and PayPal links below if you want to provide practical support. Next week, we'll move on to the second part of the chapter and discuss two types of religious experience. Have a good day.